Om Namo Bhagavate Ramakrishnaya. Salutations to Bhagavan Ramakrishna. The Bhagavad Gita, chapter 3, verse 28. The third chapter, as we have seen, is Karma Yoga, and we've been following the arguments of the Lord, how we ought to work. In the previous verse, 27, while karma is being done in every way by the gunas, the qualities of nature, one who is deluded by egoism thinks, I am the doer. Ahankara vimudatma karta aham iti manyate. And we had seen the error in this kind of thinking, but this error is due to non-knowledge. And this non-knowledge has been there with us for a very, very, very long time. And that's the reason why we can't shake it off so quickly. And the Lord is giving us the steps into eradicating this ignorance, this non-knowledge. This body is mine. This is the eternal kind of knowledge, which is actually non-knowledge. I am the doer. This is another eternal knowledge, but which is actually a non-knowledge. Why? Because when we are in this I am the body and I am the doer, for us this reality has become the body and the doership and this world around. The absolute reality is not flashing in our minds. And that's the reason why, saying this is the test. The moment you eradicate this idea of this I and mine, you get the perception of the reality, which is free from this small or the limited circle of existence that we are in. So this next verse, 28, he's speaking about a person who knows in reality what things are, in contrast to what has been just said about a person who has non-knowledge. So here he says, Tattvavittu mahabhavo guna karma vibhagayo guna guneshu vartanta iti matva na sajjate. So here, but he says, O mighty armed one. He's calling Arjuna Mahabhava, mighty arm. He had a lot of kind of, strong arms. Of course, he was a great warrior, a general. And throughout these teachings, he's kind of trying to arouse in this Arjuna the idea of his own strength. Because most of us forget our own strengths. So here he's saying, oh mighty armed one, the one who is a knower of the reality. Well, reality of what? A reality of, as I say, about the varieties of the qualities and actions of nature. Does not become attached. Thinking, how does the person think? The sense organs act on the sense objects. That's it. Simple as that. This acts on this. Why should I say this is mine, this is mine? then what is mine? Yes, the reality is yours, but this is not the reality. How do we know this is not the reality? Yeah, it's a provisional reality in the sense of it is here. It's a vyavaharika. And if it was a reality, this was a reality, we would have had the perception of our own immortality, our own infinitude. We would become aware that we are that Atman, all pervading, which is beyond death, beyond birth. This knowledge does not flash. So there is something wrong with this perception. Obviously, if you want to use this, okay, you use it, okay, fine, that's okay, that's all right. You want to use this, okay. But the end result is misery. We are miserable. This is mine, that is mine, this belongs to me. I ate this, I saw that. We are caught up in our own web of non-knowledge. So in contrast to this, tattva vit, the vit is to know, the knower. The knower of what? Tattva. What is a tattva? This is translated variously, the knower of the facts. Facts of what? Of the classification of the qualities of nature and the karmas of nature. The guy can see things. We generally lump everything together and we're saying, okay, this is my body, but the tattvavit, the enlightened person, can distinguish the various components that go to make this me. When I close my eyes, I see, okay, this is me. But the enlightened person will be able to quickly distinguish or discern the various components that have gone into making this a whole. And that person can separate these different elements or different qualities or the different gunas and their actions. So what are the various components that go to make this as well as that outside? There are these 5 subtle elements of nature. They are called the tanmatras. Okay, very subtle elements. They combine and recombine into grosser elements. Then we have something called the mind, intellect, ego, and memory, the antakaran. Then we have the 5 organs of senses, sensory organ, and the 5 organs of action, karmendriya, jnanendriya. And then we have, if you have all these things but you don't have these objects outside, the objects of sight and touch and taste and smell and hearing, what are you going to do with all these things? So there is the experience of these sense objects outside by the senses. They are translated into action, and this is understood by the mind. Mind deliberates, the feeling of I, there's the intelligence and there's memory, and the whole thing is wrought or manufactured by the subtle forces of nature. They combine it. These are the various categories of nature, guna, karma, guna, vibhagaya. And karma is, well, the karma is the various components and the actions. So, the interaction between all these various components. So, this enlightened person can see the various distinctions between this. He or she will be able to understand this is the mind, this is the intellect, this is the ego, these are the memories, these are the 5 sensory organs, the 5 motor organs. The person can clearly discern everything. The moment you can discern things, when you lay things out, open things out, lay them bare, then you can understand their secrets and you can control them. That's the idea. We say, oh, the mind is restless. People come and say, mind is restless. Yeah, you haven't even known what a mind is. We ask, what is a mind? Where is the mind? Oh, I don't know. But it is restless. There. You don't know what's the mind. And you are saying now it is restless, it's troubling me, I'm suffering. Well, that's because of non knowledge. So here we have the gunas of nature, all the components of nature. We identify ourselves with it. All the components of nature, yes, that whole nature is made up of all these components, and a microcosm of that is here. So I am the microcosm of that macrocosm. And not only me, all living beings are kind of microcosms of that. So the world is me, nature is me, in a way. Kind of a thumbnail version of the whole of nature is here. If I want to understand myself, if I can do that, I can understand the whole of nature. That's the idea. It always starts from here. So try to dissect yourself, try to separate the different components. There's an old arguments used in the scriptures. We'll say, well, see that flag is kind of flying. The flag is flying. Yeah, see the flag, kind of flying in the breeze. So you say, is the flag flying, or is a breeze flowing across it? Why do you say it's a flag that's unfurled and it is flying about? No, it's a breeze. Or another argument is, here's in the old days we had these chariots, So the chariot is passing by. What do you mean by chariot? The wheels or the axle? No. Then it means everything. The kind of the seat, the wheels and axles. Why do you call it the chariot? It's made out of different components. So there goes the chariot which has wheels and axles and a seat and the reins and all these things. We generally use one word to describe the whole conglomerate or the whole kind of organic, you can say, whole. It comes together. And we say this. This is the body. This is the mind. But we have not separated the components yet. So this tattvavit, that person is not deluded because he or she has been able to separate facts as they are. And once the person understands these things, what happens is that person does not become attached to this. Why? The senses act on the objects. What is that to me? So there was one Swami, a great Swami, he was Holy Mother's disciple. He had a fondness for mangoes. And he could really eat mangoes during the season. And after a meal, he used to sit down and kind of peel one mango. The mangoes had to be peeled and given it to him. And he used to eat one mango after another. Oh, Swami, he'll get sick with all these mangoes. How are you doing? He used to eat mangoes after mangoes after mangoes. Then after he was finished, he said, get me some milk. There's some milk. And they used to bring him some milk and he used to drink milk. So, saying, see, the milk digests the mangoes digest the milk. What? I'm not concerned about things. So it's something like that. I'm not concerned. The organs acting on the sense objects, yeah, so let them, they're acting. The I will go to form. Like Swamiji says, you try to control your senses, yeah, but nature will bring a rose and he's saying, you smell it, you rascal. And what do you do? You smell it. As long as you have these senses operating, they will go to the objects. Definitely. But why should you get yourself involved in this process? It's being done by the nature. When there was a time when people used to think that, oh, the sun is rising, there is a god that pushes the sun up. And then when it's time, he pulls it back down. Now we know that things are running by their own nature. Oh, you see, there's that tides are coming and going. That's nature. That's working of nature. Why should anybody say, oh, that somebody is pulling the tide and somebody pushing the tide? In the old days, they wanted to personalize everything to explain nature. But nature itself is self-explanatory. You put a seed in the ground and it becomes a tree. Well, what happened? Well, that's the nature of the seed. It will come into a tree. That's nature working. So everywhere you see nature working, the breeze blowing and the storm rising and rain it's raining and all these things, they're parts of nature. Why do you think that, yeah, this nature which is here belongs to me? I'm doing all these things. I'm seeing all these things. The eyes will see all these things. The nose will smell these things. The skin will touch, it will feel the sensations. These are natural things. We have not been able to separate ourselves from this nature. Here, that's the reason why he's saying this person does not become attached. How he thinks is the organs act on the objects of the organs. The senses act on the sense objects. Simple as. And so this person who knows the gunas and the karma. The gunas are, this is I. You see? You say, my hand. Tomorrow the hand is not there, what do you do then? All these qualities of nature, we identify ourselves with it, I. And when they interact with each other, karma, we call it mine. I and mine. So this is guna, I, and karma, mine. This is mine. And we get caught up in this I and mine. Shri Ramakrishna says the feeling of I and mine is Maya. This is what catches you. And this is nature in its, in its very subtle workings. It's catching you down there. We are getting attached to things what we are doing. We will see later how we can get out of this mess that we have got ourselves in because of this non-knowledge. So the next verses, 29th is Prakritir gunasam mooda sajjante gunakarmasu Tana Krishna vido mandan Krishna vinna vichalayet. Yeah. Those who are wholly deluded by the gunas of nature, by the qualities of nature, they are wholly deluded, become attached to the activities of the gunas there. The gunas, the three gunas, sattva, rajas, tamas, are in constant motion, constant flow. And those who are extremely deluded get attached, get identified with the activities of this. Before you were born, these gunas existed. And now you're getting attached to this. After you pass away, these gunas will keep on existing. Why did you in the middle get yourself hooked up on this attachment? So there it says, to show the distinction between the deluded person and the non-deluded person, he's saying the knower of the entirety or the knower of the all. This person who's deluded, he knows only very little. He or she does not see the large picture. The other person sees the larger picture. The whole of nature, with its billions and billions and billions of galaxies whirling, moving around and expanding. Things are happening there. So this person sees in the perception the whole thing, the entirety. So that's why he's saying the knower of the all, or the knower of the larger picture, the entirety, should not disturb those of dull intellect who do not know the entirety, who do not know the all. Why? You could have said, you shake them out of their delusive stupor. Nicely, there was one Swami who used to, long time ago, he had a nice cane in his hand. So whenever he used to see somebody coming, he used to nicely go and beat them on their backs when they used to make pranams. That beating itself was a kind of a blessing, and people wanted that kind of beating. There was one Swami saying, I had a dream. And this is a dream, he's telling a few devotees, I did. And in the dream, I saw another Swami who's coming and beating me. And he's beating me, saying, hey, oh Swami, why are you beating me? Well, I'm beating you to put you into samadhi. So this Swami who is being beaten is saying, please, please don't do that. Why should I go into samadhi? Samadhi is in me. I am the whole. I am the entirety. Samadhi is in me. The whole universe is in me. Why should I go into samadhi? There was another Swami, I remember, when we used to make pranams to him, we bow down. He'd nicely come in. Boom! We used to bang us on a spinal cord. Boom! Oh, that hurt. It should hurt. Trying to awaken you all. So, giving you a few examples. The enlightened person will not create a disturbance among people. I remember a long time back, there was a doctor. There is a doctor. He was, for many years, in Singapore. And there was a Swami there, and he used to teach him the highest of Advaita, saying, see, you are the Atman, everything else is rubbish. And this person became so depressed because he was thinking of giving up his medical profession and this and that. And why? Because I'm the Atman. What is the medical profession and what is the patients and what is all this thing? I'm the Atman. And he got into a lot of domestic trouble because of that. Obviously. So then, when I heard this, we were saying, see, this is where, the wise counsel of the Gita comes. Don't unsettle the understanding of people who are attached to actions and the gunas, but wean them away gradually. That's the idea. So, this person here, the enlightened person, is being instructed by the Lord Himself. Do not disturb those who are attached to actions, those who look at fragmentary things, the small things. This I, this is mine, this is my place, and they will fight over that. Oh, another person comes and sits down here, this person here, he will say, he will try to push that person. Oh, you see, that person's dog or cat comes here in his yard, he'll drive it away. Why? This is my yard. You drive away all people. You see? And we are fighting over these small, small things. So, what has happened is the vision of ourselves has become narrowed, the vision of nature itself has become narrowed. What narrows it? The sense of I and mine. So, the enlightened person now will have to wean these folks away from their delusion. And the next verse will kind of explain what has to be done, how it has to be done. But this is a kind of a warning. So those who are wholly deluded by the gunas of nature, trigunatmika. So the nature, we have three gunas, but the permutations and combination has made them as a kind of endless qualities. So those who are wholly deluded by the gunas of nature become attached to the activities of the gunas. They become attached to it. You know what I'm saying here? The sun is rising and is setting. Yeah. And you write big poetry on that. And you say, I have written this poetry. No, you can't. You keep on writing. Don't dissuade them. But later you tell them, that's nature working, don't worry. So he's saying, the knower of the all, the entirety, or the knower of facts, should not disturb those of dull intellect who do not know. So what is a dull intellect? It is called, he's saying, Prakritir guna sammudha. Guna sammudha, wholly deluded by the gunas of Prakriti. It's really difficult, it's kind of easy to say. And we must understand that it is due to past habits. Over and over and over and over and over, we have been doing certain things that is not leading us to eternal life, that's not leading us to immortality, that's not leading us to the perception of this reality. And as a result, what's happening is we are under the sway of the momentum of past actions. So to come out of that is extremely difficult. Yes. A mosquito sits here on my knee and my hand goes and tries to smack it down instinctively. These are all automatic actions. Our bodies are running on autopilot. Most of our mind also running on autopilot. Why? Because we have set in motion that wheel and it's rolling down and down and down. And it's now very difficult to stop the whole process. And that's why, whether you want it or no, we are attached to this whole thing. We are crushed by our own actions. We are crushed by our own ignorance. And that's the reason why many people, they can't face themselves. A person who can really face oneself is a strong person. They want to kind of forget their selves. They'll divert themselves or get engaged in activities that does not make them think or face their own weaknesses and their own deficiencies, their own miserable existence or their own suffering, even your own strengths. You do not want to face yourself. People say, I want to see God. You better see your own self first. And then you can see God. See what you are made of. Now, who has made me? God has made me. You have made yourself. And once you know, I have made myself, these are our mistakes. Yes, admit it, correct it. But I am under the sway of that power of nature that's dragging me on. And nature is very powerful. It will not stop for people like me and you and all these small things. It creates millions and billions in a day, destroys millions and billions in a day. It doesn't matter what is that. We have this coronavirus going on, sweeping. Oh, so many people dying. Oh, you can't even see that with the naked eyes. Oh, what's that to nature? It's a big thing for us. 100,000 people have died in the US. It's a big thing. For nature, oh, you could go in for some more. So nature is extremely powerful. And we must be able to understand that. So we have set in motion certain aspects of nature within us by identifying ourselves with that. Instead of thinking that is nature's work, let her work. She's working, let her work. I got attached to that, the workings of nature, and then nature is now saying, yeah, come, dragging me by the hand. I went, can extended my hand to beg, to ask for something, and nature caught my hand by the wrist, saying, come, I'll give you some more. Swami Vivekananda says nicely, nature spanks us and we start weeping. Then she gives us the gingerbread and we start laughing. That's what's happening. And then again, nature will spank us. And then we'll forget the gingerbread and the laughter and we start crying again. Those who know the workings of nature in its entirety, in its various components, one who has dissected, separated the various components of nature, laid them bare, see how they individually work. Because whatever you see in this world is a result of combinations. Force and matter. You remove the force that holds this and there will be no table. Yeah, it's all force and matter, or matter and energy, and that is constantly, ceaselessly going on. So once you can analyze what this is my table, no, this was a tree, and now it's a piece of wood, and there are certain forces that are holding it together. Whether you call it a strong force or weak force or whatever you want to call it, you can see these things and you can understand these things. And once you can understand these things, you will not get attached to it. Many times we get attached because we do not see things clearly. We go to a shop and the salesperson says, yeah, this is good, and you look at it, oh yeah, it's good, it appears good. But you don't know the whole thing. You come and say, then you find out, why did I waste my time and money on this useless thing? We get caught. And when we get caught, then we regret. That's why to understand yourself first is to face yourself. Face the components of nature that are working there within you. And once you've understood, then you are ready to learn. Learn what? Yeah, higher things. No longer you will be deluded by the gunas of Prakriti. It's a kind of when you speak about it from the standpoint of your perception and all these things, like, oh, yeah, it's okay. But there's something more to nature, Sri Ramakrishna used to pray to Mahamaya, the great Maya. Come, Maya, come. People try to run away from Maya, trying to escape the clutches of Maya. He used to pray. He had a different mission to hold it. There are many stories how Maya kind of traps you. There was a great sage Vyasa who compiled the Vedas in the sense of divided and edited them. And he had four disciples. So one of his disciples, Jaimini, he sent him on an errand. You go to that place. Don't stop midway for anything. You go out there and simply that is that. Finish that work. So Jaimini says he was a great disciple. He was the author of the sutra, Karma Sutras. That is the Purva Mimamsa Sutra, the philosophy of the Vedic Karma philosophy. So he went, and as he was walking towards that place where you're supposed to reach, it was late, it started raining, and then he was wet, and to seek shelter, he was trying to seek shelter under this tree and that tree, it wasn't adequate, and it kept on raining and pouring. At a distance, he saw a small light in the darkness. He went towards that light, and he saw a small kind of thatched hut, kind of a cottage. So he went and tried to kind of, under the eaves, he kind of tried to keep himself dry because it was raining outside, pouring. So he stood outside the door, shivering, cold, and he's wet, he's hungry, it's dark. And after a while, he hears the sounds of bracelets in the room. And it's in the room is there, kind of. He has been told by his guru, don't stop for anything. So here he's listening to the sound of bracelets and he's wondering, who is it can be? And then as he's wondering, the sound of bracelets are becoming louder and louder because that person who is wearing the bracelets obviously is doing some work because they're jingling, the sound is jingling sound. Now this Jaimini, he became curious. I wonder who is there in this cottage. So he knocked on the door. And kept on knocking, it's not opening. And after he tried to push the door, and now by that time he had already in his mind figured it out that women wear bracelets and that woman might be young or whatever, I don't know. But let's see, whatever it is. So as he pushed the door, it opened, and Jaimini saw a young girl with the bracelets, and he hugged her. As he hugged her, suddenly he got jolted out. He felt a long beard of a person. It wasn't a girl. He thought he saw a girl. He did see a girl. But it was his teacher, his guru, Vyasa. He had caught oh, I'm sorry. I had told you not to stop at anything or for anything. You disobeyed me, disobeyed my instruction. So this whole thing he had created in his mind, he was deluded by nature. So we think nature can be countered easily. It can be countered only with knowledge. Only through the knowledge of the guru. That is important. The knowledge of the guru will lead you to the knowledge of the reality. Not ordinary knowledge. Knowledge, that's why Satyakama, after he had returned to his guru, after his few cows had become 1,000. And then he, he says that knowledge that has been transmitted by the Guru alone leads to the highest good. So I want you to teach me what the other gods and other nature has taught me. Acharya Deva Vidya Vidita. So it's this nature will bring you obstacles and obstacles and obstacles. And how do you counter all these obstacles? By not identifying yourself with these things, these instruments. It is through the instrumentality of I that you get attached to this and that and this and the functioning of the senses, the functioning of the mind, functioning of the body. Yeah, there you are. We are caught because of that. The moment you replace that I with this is the Lord, you become free. It's as easy as that. Remove this I and place God there. Then you see what happens. You immediately become free. So the enlightened person will not kind of shake the unenlightened out of his stupor very strongly. He will slowly lead him away, wean him away from these attachments, make that person understand, okay, don't worry, this is how you've got to detach yourself. So here the Lord is giving you a perfect, you can say, solution, starting from here. So the commentator says, in what manner should duties be undertaken? By a seeker of liberation who is not enlightened, but who performs all actions, all work. So you see, the answer is now being stated. Mai sarvani karmani sannyasya chetasa nirashir nirmamo bhutva yudhyasva vigata jvaraha. It's beautiful. Devoid of the fever. What fever? The fever of attachments and regret and suffering and all this. Like the fever of the soul. Come away from that kind of feverish, you can say, thoughts and feverish actions and feverish attachments. You see? Engage in battle by dedicating all your actions to me. There it is. Arjuna was standing on that chariot, ready to kind of battle, but he got disheartened because he saw his kinsmen arrayed in battle against him, and he wanted to flee away. So the Lord said, no, you don't have to run away. You do your duties as a warrior, because on you depends on the lives of many other people. If you run away, the others will get killed. Simply saying, I don't want to fight will not do. You come here to fight, you fight. So you say, Yudhyasva. So you say, engage yourself in battle. Yes. How? By dedicating all actions to me, to the Lord. These actions, this karma is yours, O Lord. I belong to you. The results of this karma is also yours. You become slowly disengaged from everything. So we have to devoid of the fever of the soul. Engage in battle by dedicating all actions to me, with your mind intent on the self and becoming free from expectations and the sense of I. Nirasha, nirmamo, without a sense of mine. These actions belongs to me. No, they belong to God. Without expectation. Don't expect anything. It's the Lord's duty to give you what you want. He'll give it to you. So we have to be with our mind should be intent on the self, the Atman. While once you are focused on that, you keep on doing your work by dedicating all this work to the Lord, and without the feverish attachments or the feverish, you can say, thoughts. What is going to happen to me? What will happen to me? Well, this will be my loss. This will be my gain. Vigata jvara, without the fever. The humans are kind of, are always on the boil. Somebody says some nice word and this person preens, and somebody says some denigrating word or some criticism, that person feels his face and his body and all becoming hot. You notice? Yeah. And then the next thing is that person is going to get angry. And then as the person gets angry, that person is going to shout, and then he'll try to fight. All these things are kind of, we are living in a kind of a feverish activity, a feverish world of our own making. And once we understand, you need to be calm, you need to be quiet. Don't get agitated. Agitation means heat, fever. So become calm, become quiet. Whatever you do, dedicate your actions to the Lord. Keep in focus always your goal. That's the Atman. And don't bother about expecting things, and don't bother about this is mine, that is mine. This was mine. This was my old house when I was a millionaire. Now I am on the streets. See? This is the world. You should have learnt these things. And the world, nature will show you. It will give you the highest things. And after sometimes it will lead you to the lowest things. Now you see this. See this also. Don't see this. See this. And the guy who's down there, you're distressed by this. Okay. See this also. If the people are lucky, will get it in one lifetime. People are unlucky, will have to wait for a few more lifetimes. But nature will take you through all these experiences, from the lowest to the highest. Don't get agitated. Throughout the day, we go through so many experiences. Now with this lockdown, you're sitting at home and watching either television or some movies the whole day, doing nothing, or maybe working. But hundreds of things coming in, which are rousing up certain emotions, which are giving you an experience. But the mind is so clouded, it simply suppresses them. And we are living on the thin line on the surface. We are very shallow, very superficial. Most of the things escape us. If we are alert, you will find that nature throughout the day takes you through various experiences. Good, bad, hate, love, anger, jealousy, all these things, all emotions. You go through the whole spectrum. Don't worry, yeah. And think, oh, I'm so nice and calm and quiet, and suddenly something comes and disturbs you. You are nice and calm and quiet, now get angry. That is nature's work. So we go to the whole spectrum of experiences throughout the day, throughout life. And we become feverish with that. Don't get feverish. Dedicate your actions to God. Keep your heart and your mind oriented towards a goal, the self. And don't bother about acquisitions and expectations. This is mine, that is yours. No. Just that. This is the way to freedom. Nirmamo nirahankara. So here we have, the Lord said, nirashir nirmamo. Without the feeling of I, and nirashir, without any kind of expectation. Nirasha, without any hope or expectation. You do something and you expect something in return. You do something and you hope for something. Don't bother with that. You've dedicated your actions to the Lord, that's enough, good enough. You don't have to, when will the Lord give me? I have called on the Lord for so many years and nothing is happening. Yeah. As long as you have the expectations, you'll be caught in those expectations. So, mai sarvani karmani sanya sadhyatma. You can say, renounce all your actions, sannyasya. Renounce all your actions to me. And then he said, Adhyatma chetasa, with your mind intent on the self, Adhyatma, inside. Without hope and expectations, without a feeling of I, fight. Fight this battle of life. So it's not, we are not like Arjuna standing in the middle of the kind of two armies. We are also standing in the middle of our daily battle of life. So it is asking us to be brave, to stand our ground, to understand ourselves, understand the situations, and work. Don't flee, don't run away. If you are a coward today, you'll be a coward tomorrow. And that struggle will come in bigger way. You run from one thing, after a couple of days, that thing has grown larger. You could have tackled it when it was little. So everything starts with little. Tackle it there. Don't run away. Don't get frightened about anything. And then when you start conquering it, you'll be free from all these things, from work itself. You'll be free from delusion and you will come to, as I say, enlightenment. So this is the first step. So this topic about how to get away from the bondage of expectations and rewards and punishments and the fruits of work, etc., etc. The Lord is not asking you to get away from work. Get away from the feeling of I and mine, and get away from the feeling of hope and expectations about the results of work. He is not asking you to get away from work. You keep on working. But these two old weaknesses of yours, give it up. Okay? We stop here for today. We take the 31st verse from next time. That's next Thursday. Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Tat Sat Shri Ram Krishna Arpanamastu.
Everyone say thank you.
Everyone.